Well, it looks like I might be live here on YouTube. Welcome to Driven to Draw. If anyone hasn't really checked out my blog, you're more than free to visit driventodraw.com, and there's a ton of drawing videos out there. What I'm going to talk about today, and you're going to have to excuse me because I am still, I don't get enough time to really go over these tools and really understand how all this Google Hangout stuff work, or if even things are even working properly. But if you're on YouTube, then great. If you are watching me on Google Hangout, then even better. I don't see anybody here. It looks like I've got 0 viewers. So anyway, it's all good. What I wanted to talk about today, and by the way, if you guys don't catch this, it's all good, because I will just end up publishing it on YouTube anyway, so you'll be able to view it later. These videos, I have to say, are a little bit hard, only because they're not planned. I'm just here to just talk about what's on my mind and just some of my thoughts on drawing, on design, and things like that. Fundamentals, one of the things I wanted to talk about was just drawing fundamentals, and how drawing fundamentals really help you to draw just about anything. It's a fantastic way that at least I have now figured out after years of practice, that things that I've kind of struggled with before, I don't struggle with them as much. And the more time that you invest into a particular craft, into getting better, first you need sort of like the willingness to want to learn. You have to have it set in your mind that when you embark on trying to learn something, and a lot of people who have difficulty with being creative, a lot of people have difficulty in just being able to get your sketches up to a certain level, and then also being able to recall or to draw from memory. They get difficult, and I think a lot of that is just due to, one, there's a lack of practice, and also your mind kind of plays tricks on you when you're trying to go through that learning process, right? Because constantly you're measuring yourself against other people and what they're drawing and what they're doing, and then you feel really bad, and that hurts your confidence and stuff. But what I've found just over time is that as I get better and better, I've noticed that I'm able to not only draw the things that I am interested in, but it's also value add to draw things that you're not interested in, or at least get into areas that you don't typically get into. I'm going to just start with some drawing fundamentals, which is just sketching out really some quick stuff, and the importance of just fundamentals in drawing in perspective, drawing boxes, and that sort of thing. I never realized how important this was, especially when I was in school. I had a very difficult time with drawing in perspective. I was really good at just drawing in general, where I was drawing people. I won't say very good. I was okay at drawing people, but I had a lot of bad habits. I didn't really quite understand what was meant by drawing the, I guess, quote, right way versus the wrong way. And so I had a lot of difficulty, and plus, every time I bought these books that talked about, hey, you got to draw boxes all the time, and you have to reposition those, the cubes and things, that really was terrible, because I didn't really understand or relate to why I had to draw boxes, because I just wanted to go straight into drawing the stuff that I was visualizing and seeing. And there's a couple of things that happen with that. You can certainly do it. In fact, I am going to be getting into a series of videos and even some premium stuff where we talk about drawing from observation and why that's really important, because you really need to do both. If you are looking at drawing from your imaginations, then the fundamentals and basics and drawing boxes are going to be very important. So why is that? Well, because your mind has just not developed the aptitude to be able to visualize and comprehend the complex forms in perspective. And your brain really struggles with perspective when you start off. So if you're drawing a car and you're just trying to get a certain kind of viewpoint or something, then that viewpoint, establishing that viewpoint gets very difficult if you had to think of all these complex shapes. You're not going to be able to comprehend that. It's very difficult for people to do that, especially at the beginning. So that's why boxes and drawing boxes are always important, because the boxes allow people to simplify the shapes. And you notice that with comic book artists, you notice that with just about comic book artists, or people who are doing figures. Notice that they have something like this. They'll you've got the wooden mannequin, right? And it's simplified, right? Because if you notice, people are told to draw these cylinders because it's easier to draw these cylinders at the beginning than to draw the full face. Because if you try to draw the full face without understanding without understanding perspective, then all your perspective is going to be out of whack. So even with examples like this, where I'm just drawing a simple shape and I'm just, adding sections to it, it helps. It helps because if you're drawing something that's like an amorphic shape, you don't really know where they're going, or you don't really know how to foreshorten it over to the other side right here versus the foreground. And that's really tough at the beginning because you don't know what you don't know, right? So what I'm doing here is this is just kind of fun, because all I do is I'm just taking very basic forms and just building them out and just seeing where they lie, adding little points as I go through this. And even as I start to look at, well, I want to add perspective, or I want to add a wheel or something like that, this takes away a lot of the intimidation factor in drawing in general, because it's stressful at the beginning. And you have to also understand your own mindset. Why is it stressful? Because, well, it's stressful because, one, I got to tell you that drawing is not supposed to be stressful. It's supposed to be very relaxing, and it's supposed to be therapeutic. That's how it is for me. What causes the stress in most of us is wanting results very quickly and wanting them fast. We live in a world where we are bombarded by so much visual stimuli, especially when it comes to drawing. And it's unprecedented now, because when I was younger, when I was going to college, what did we do? We had to go to the library. So it was really difficult to get access to information. We couldn't Google anything, right? So now you guys have, you got all sorts of ways of learning, and it's really amazing. It's really amazing. So what I'm doing is I'm just, placing shapes, objects, and just building on those shapes. That's all I'm doing right now, because this is just sort of just experimental, how to just look at forms and shape, putting them together and seeing what they do, how they relate to the form. Here, I mean, this could be even, I don't know, it can be like a wooden toy, Automo blocks or something. I don't know. And so all I'm doing is just drawing cylinders and positioning them in perspective. But when you go through this exercise, what's great about it is that all you're doing is building forms little by little, right? You're just extending things out, slowly sort of rationalizing the shape. And what's nice about it is you get results faster than you think. It may not be as easy at the beginning. This is why I always feel when people ask me, I want to be able to draw very quickly. You don't want to draw very quickly. That's not the point. You have to really understand why basics are very important, why fundamentals are important. and work with the fundamentals, and actually kind of do a little bit of both. Meaning that when I first started drawing or going to school, we were required to start with observation first, right? So, how well is your mind able to observe, or is your brain able to interpret what they see, right? Without really knowing all your background or your fundamental, without knowing how to apply the fundamentals in drawing. How do you, as it is, how do you observe? How does your mind observe detail? Are you able to replicate detail in a certain way? And so all those things are really value add at the beginning. And what's great about that, because I don't want to lose sight of what I was talking about, is, well, how does this all kind of work? How can I use any of this stuff anyway? Why is it so important? What's the big deal behind all this stuff that you're talking about with, well, how does this help me draw other stuff? Or how does this, if I wanted to, as far as like a job, how does drawing help? Drawing's for kids, which is not true. Drawing, engineers, sometimes, really good engineers, they visualize by drawing things out. They're able to rationalize their ideas by sketching what they feel is a solution to a problem. Those are very important, and the better you can visualize things, especially on a board, a whiteboard or something, then you're able to communicate that idea to other people. Mind you, you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be proficient at drawing or anything like that. But what it does, oops, went past there, but what it does allow you to do is to be able to effectively communicate with people. All right. So this is like a wooden car. And as you can see, it's pretty basic, right? But you can build, you can just start to, when you go through this exercise, hey, you may want to say, well, what do these hood scoops look like if I want to add that? And so you may want to say, hey, I got another section through here and I'm building this thing out. So you're just adding, some of this detail out to here. And you just build section by section. Okay. So then what you get out of here, like I said, is that you get something that's sort of simplified. And you don't really have to worry about the details, because the details will come right after, right? As you start going through this whole process, you can worry about, well, how do I get the right kind of detail? You don't have to worry about realism or any of that stuff. But even from here, you can get a drawing that's effective and it can communicate an idea very quickly. And all we did was started it off with just a bunch of boxes and stuff, right? I mean, pretty cool. I like this stuff. I mean, for me, this causes less stress. Just planning things out this way and just relaxing and having fun. Now, this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, was that when you learn these fundamentals, or when you start applying these fundamentals to other things, so one of the things, it allows you to explore other subjects. So one of the things I've always struggled with are animals and people. And I am not a professional in drawing animals, but I've started to really look at animals, or just looking at various types of animals, like whether they're tigers or lions or eagles, all sorts of different animals and birds and that sort of thing. But what happens is that as you get better and better in observing details, you start to see patterns, and you're able to recognize the beauty in nature itself. So I started off, sketching. Like I said, I don't draw tigers, or I don't draw these are it's like the first time I've actually gone in and started drawing tigers, and I've drawn eagles, and I'm just getting on this kick, and I love it. And I love it because I'm seeing that the things that I've learned, the fundamentals that I've learned, are directly transferable. Now, I can't draw this out of my head. I use some reference. I was watching Jungle Book with my kids, Shere Khan, which was I don't know if anyone's seen that. It's just an awesome, awesome movie. It was fantastic. And so I saw that movie, and I thought I got to draw it for my kids. And then I just started looking up pictures and um, I think Flickr, and then just started just taking apart or just looking at pictures and just using them as a study. And what you start to ask yourself, you start asking yourself questions. Well, you know, how do I communicate fur? I already know line weight. I already know certain fundamentals and how I execute a drawing. Now, how do I take that and how do I apply it to something that I don't know? Right, taking something I know and then applying it to something I don't know. So this is great. And so they're not. I'm not as good as an actual professional artist that does tigers or lions. I've been watching Aaron Blaze on YouTube, who's really amazing talent. He's an artist, or used to be a former artist for Disney. Worked on Beauty and the Beast. But here are some other things that I've done. I mean, I take watercolors and I start to experiment with that, because I already know that even if I was in automotive, what does it matter? All you're doing is relating color and describing form and just using it as an exercise. And it's awesome. I mean, it's this is something that I really want to teach a lot of you folks that are trying to learn this stuff, that this is really fun and you can really transfer this knowledge to many other disciplines here. And so aside from drawing, you know, the regular cars, you've seen me do this stuff a lot on YouTube, you know, but even me, I get bored. I gotta do something else. And that's the power. The more and more you do things that you're not really comfortable with, the better you add to your skill set. So anyway, that's it. It was just kind of a quick blurb. I don't know how quick that was. I've been kind of rambling on for quite some time, but there are going to be some more videos coming up. I've just been sort of not binning them, but just slowly trying to get a nice collection of them so I can start posting them. But once again, if you want to learn a lot about drawing and learning fundamentals, head on over to driven2draw.com. That's my blog and my website. I do have a podcast there. And if you got questions, just you know, send me a note. Go to the Ask Arv tab on the website and send me a question or something, and I'd be more than happy to answer it. So anyway, Happy New Year. I hope you guys have some great resolutions. I have none. I think resolutions are useless. I think you should always be improving all year round. But anyway, if you feel good about having a resolution, then more power to you. Just got to take action. Anyway, peace out. We'll talk to you next time on Driven to Draw. Have a good one.